Welcome back to Market Monday on October 20th, and this is going to be a big one. They just dropped the face-off event week 2 master set players and all of that, but they also dropped +3 overall line combos, the biggest to date of the year, but also the potential to get +6 overall to a line, which is unheard of and something that I think that even the people that thought line combos were kind of overpowered couldn't have anticipated. So obviously, again, changed the market for the most part. So we're going to dive into that as well as go over all of the cards. And again, for anyone just watching this for the first time, this is not market advice. This is simply a resource that I'm putting together so that next year we can go back, look at all of the content drops for the next whatever, for how long this year goes, and see what cards cost so that we can start building a little bit more logic and knowledge for just how the market works in general in my quest to become a little bit better at working the market. So let's get into it. All right, so we always start with icons, and I don't know how this is possible, but the last 3 weeks on Monday, we have ended up with 76 total on the auction house. So there just always seems to be 76 total icons, so nothing has changed there in terms of the amount hitting the auction house or the amount just being purchased. Now, last week was the week in which we've got the massive content drop for Lindros and McInnes, so it really impacted last week's prices, which is interesting because we've gone now a full week since. And the lowest price for an 86 overall icon, which is necessary to make Lindros or McInnes, those were going for 95,000 coins last week. They're now down into the low 80s, just under 85,000, so they have fallen in price. There is one up for actually 80,000 coins as well. So you're starting to see these prices come down as everyone makes Lindros, and even if they don't want that card specifically because they want to go after more of the face-off event cards instead of getting Lindros, you're starting to see a lot of those prices come down because no one's just buying up the icons at the highest price. Taking a look at the popular ones from launch of the game, last week you could get a Fedorov for about 110,000. It's roughly the same. 105,000 is the cheapest up on the auction house right now. So again, it looks like his price is kind of settled in. He's going to be far more expensive than the base icon simply because he is one of the better cards still. Now, Solani's price has cratered again. So it was 130,000 coins last week. Now it is down to 80. And I think, again, personal experience with having Solani's card, I think it's because there are so many other options, and if you wanted to maximize Solani's usefulness, you either have to run him with 2 Anaheim Ducks, and the other 2 Anaheim Ducks are going to be far worse than a lot of the line combos you could make with the new face-off event line combos, or if you do the double Blackhawk one with Solani. But even if you had the best options for that line, the face-off event just offers, I think, a better result. So you're seeing Solani become one of the first cards to be removed because he just, I don't know. People want to go up to Solani's card by himself is still one of the best cards in the game, but he has fallen almost 40,000 coins in value week over week since the release of that face-off event. Be very curious to see once the face-off event is done if he goes back up in price because he's still one of the best cards you can buy. I think he will. Paul Coffey last week was 250,000. There's only one up, 250,000, so nothing really changes there. One of the best cards in the game. And Joe Sakic was about 220,000, and you can see for 190, he's not selling, so he's coming far down in interest as well, because again, I think he kind of fits that Solani issue where now with all of these new line combos coming out, Sakic's usefulness outside of that one line with Pasternak and Pedersen or Naslin, whoever you wanted, one of the best line combos for the beginning of the game, there's slightly better options now. So you're having to remove cards to get those new ones in your lineup. And I think Sakic's line is kind of the last one hanging on. You're already seeing Solani's fall off because of his price. Now, again, this is 1 week after the initial release of Eric Lindros and McInnes, so there was a major shock because those are the best cards in the game. To make them, you need 84 to 85 overall alumni, as well as the one icon at 86 overall that you can now get for about 85, a little bit under 80. And this is why we don't chase after cards that are buildable forever, or at least for the event. And this is a perfect reason why you don't chase after cards that you are able to build for an extended period of time. Unlike events, icons, heroes, captains, rookies, you can make those for the entire season and maybe potentially the entire game. We'll have to wait and see for season 2, but 84 to 85 overall alumni, we're going for 60,000 coins last Monday. Now you can get one for 45,000 coins, which is a major discount. Essentially, you're saving 45,000 coins in total when you buy the 84s off the auction house trying to make Lindros. Now, if you wanted to make an 84 overall, you can trade in an 82 or 83, and you've got a massive discount there as well. Last week, 24,000 coins to purchase items for this set. Now you can get them for around 13,000, a little bit more. So almost half the cost to buy one of these week over week. And then lastly, to make an 83 overall alumni, you've got an 81 to 82 overall trade-in. And just like the other alumni, these were 9,500 last week. You can now get them for the low 7,000 range. So again, another massive discount there. Onto the heroes. Every week we track the heroes. There's always a very low amount. However, this week there's actually 9 more on the auction house. So usually there's around 20 to 25. Right now there is 34 up, and apparently everyone is trying to sell Marcus Naslund. Now, just like last week, when Mike Gartner first came out, everyone wanted to make him. To get an 84 overall hero item, it was going to cost you 80,000 coins. You can now get them for 50. So again, that was kind of what they cost before that huge content drop. So popularity has just cratered after a majority of the player base has already made them. So again, you wait about 10 days after a release for any card that you can build, and you'll go back to pre-launch price. Now, the barrier for entry for the Heroes event, you can actually trade in 79 to 80 overall alumni. That'll give you an 81 overall that you can start trading up, whether you're trying to make a hero or an icon. This one I can't understand. It's actually gone up in price. It is the only one. So a 79 to 80 overall alumni is going to cost you about 5,000 coins. Last week, they were going for 4,500. All right, then on to the face-off cards. So we got week 2 of the face-off event, and it really changed everything again because it added 2 +3 overall lines to forwards and a +3 overall boost to defense as well. And that forward line can be combined. So absolutely absurd to see a +6 overall boost for over a month, but we're going to see it until line combos reset. That being said, compared to last week, I think this is going to be really interesting. So you need to get 3 83 to 85 overall inside the NHL face-off event items. Last week, these were going for 40,000 coins on the auction house. Now you're looking at just under 60,000 to just buy them on the auction house, and a lot of them have multiple uses. For example, Yuri Kulich can be used in a line that can give you a +5 overall boost, so some of these are pretty crazy. Now, you'll also need 2 83 to 85 overall items. Now, last week, before this event drop had these crazy line combos, 83s were going for 18,000 coins. Now they're shot up to 21,000. Again, everyone is trying to make these master set player items like Sidney Crosby, as well as Nylander, among others. So this doesn't surprise me. A big increase here to 21,000 coins. Now, the barrier of entry is 79 to 80 overall items. And I think I figured out why 79 to 80 overall alumni items are actually more expensive than they were last week. That's because 79 and above items are going for 4,500 coins. I want to reiterate, you could get 79s about 2 weeks ago for 1,700 coins. That is a massive price haul because everyone, again, is trying to do those 81 and 83 overall sets as well from the face-off event because multiple cards, not just the master set items, have some crazy uses and line combinations that you can make. I would anticipate that unless there's more line combos that come out or this new event is an absolute banger, that this is going to crater, at least for the 79s. When it comes to the Master Set player items, last week there was only 7 on the auction house for 250,000 coins. That's kind of where we're at now. There isn't a lot of tradable that actually hit the auction house. You've got Byfield, who's one of the better options at 350, and the other two are right around 250,000, so nothing really changed there. When it comes to the fantasy items, now, last week, there was 76 total on the auction house. We're down to 60, which means that there's just less available to purchase. When it comes to the amount of cards under 1 million, there was 28 last week. Now there is only 18. And there is really only one that is up for under 800,000 coins. I get asked this all the time, who's buying these? Guys, I'm almost positive it is the same 10 people that only play the market and have infinite coins, and they're really just selling them to each other. This is hilarious to me because the normal player isn't buying any of these. It's 5 guys waiting to sell their like 10 tradable fantasy cards. They see someone post like a Barzal for 950,000. They'll buy that, deem it cheap enough, and then list it for 1.1 million. There's nothing actionable here. If you didn't get a fantasy card, you're not going to if you're a normal player. Even at 1,000,000 coins, I don't even think this is worth it. A JVR is a perfect example of what happens if you score. He scored again, so now he's up to 2 goals. He was one of the least sought after cards. Now he's going for 900,000. Last week, he was 650. It's always fun to see the value of cards change. All right, now on to the individual ones. We always take a look at Connor McDavid, and man, his card went through a massive price change all the way down to 80,000 coins when the new captain card came out, and his price did rebound up to 130,000. He's still pretty cheap now at like low 100,000 coins. His captain card now has more options of Pacific Division players to get into your lineup to activate. So I think this is probably where Connor McDavid's card will just kind of fall into until Season 2 if you're not able to use Season 1 captains in your lineup. Nathan MacKinnon. Man, this one didn't make any sense to me, and it's a lesson learned. So there was just more cards that came out that were deemed more valuable than Nathan MacKinnon. His price went from about 200,000 about 2 weeks ago. There was no buildable MacKinnon that came out for any indication that his price would tank, like McDavid, for example. He was 120,000 last week. Now you can get him for like 95,000 coins. I don't see how he rebounds unless they come out with a Canadian Avalanche specific line combo that can give you a big boost. It's the only way. And I'll be honest with you, if you have Nathan MacKinnon, I would just hold on to him and wait for that specific thing to happen, because it wouldn't surprise me if it does, because he's one of the more popular players. But at that price point, I'll just wait and eat my losses. Now, there are a few face-off cards that can give a +6 overall boost, and I want to track them, and I want to see how expensive their card is after the event is over, when they're no longer able to be built, because you can make them with account bound, not specifically, but you can get lucky. Matthew Knies is the first one, and he is going for over 300,000 while the event is still going on. So again, Matthew Knies can get a +6 overall boost, 300,000 coins to get his card while the event is going on. Another really popular one is Rickard Rakell, about 225, 240,000 coins in value, so over 200K. We'll see where his price falls. Now, Matias Maccelli is interesting because, again, an 83 is easier to make. It's not as expensive. Fits a massive bonus in line combos, and you can get him for 80,000 coins tradable. Once the event is done and you can no longer make 83 overalls, I would anticipate that his card probably goes up in price, but I'm very curious to see where it lands, because this is going to show us an example of how events will operate, not just dropping a new line combo and seeing random cards jump up in price that are only being able to be pulled in packs. I want to see the price changes for event items that you can build, because once the face-off event is done, you can't build them anymore, and the only way to get them is via the auction house. Lastly, another really popular one is Brett Howden. He can actually fit a +6 combo, and like low 20,000, 25,000 coins is roughly where you can get him. We'll see what happens after the event is done. Jack Eichel's base card is a +6 combo boost, and you can get him for about 280,000. There's one up for 250,000, which would actually be a pretty decent buy. Very curious to see on this one as well. This screams price crash once they release another Vegas Golden Knight card that's American. I'm sure they will, because they want to make money, but very curious to see where Eichel's price ends up. Now on to the team of the week. So the team of the week this week is the 86 Matt Boldy, who's not nearly as sought after as Tage Thompson was. It requires 83 overall team of the week items to make this card. And not really surprising is that the price last week for an 83 was 30,000 coins. You can get some this week for under 25,000. I would expect this trend to continue as long as the 86 overall is not some crazy chase card like Tage Thompson was. Taking a look at the total cards in the auction house, this is kind of alarming, because this usually indicates, one, either there is buildable meta cards that are so popular and powerful that the entire player base just goes and eats them up, which did happen, but it could also indicate that there's just a drop off in the player base. No confirmation on that, but it's an indication. Last week, there was 15,500 cards total. So we're down another 1,500 cards just blanket on the auction house. The bigger issue is 2 weeks ago, there was 17,500, which means there was 4,500 cards in the auction house 2 weeks ago, and we're seeing a massive drop. This is something to pay attention to, but this is the lowest I've seen it all year long. That's going to do it for October 20th Market Monday. Let me know in the comment section down below what's been surprising to you and what things you're going to change based on market knowledge. I'll see you guys next time.